So our next speaker, back to the idea of poetry, is Maya Rose of Maya Rose Spoken Word, who came last month during Black History Month. I asked her to come back for Women's History Month. We've got to set up a little bit of logistics, but please welcome back Maya Rose.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for having me back. Yes, this is so exciting. So I'm going to do 3 poems again, and then I'll go into my little rant. I had to sit and contemplate which poems I wanted to do for Women's History Month. It was actually very challenging. And so hopefully through the theme of the poems that you listen to, you might get an understanding where I was going with it. But I will explain after what my call to action, I guess, will be. So I'll do 2 poems, and then on the third one, I'm going to have Angel come in and accompany it with me on the keyboard, and then we'll chat. We'll do a little call to action. All right. A mystic, a Christian, a Buddha belly loving yogi, a weirdo by East Coast convention, a demon by Puritan sensibilities, gracing the edge of a mountaintop filled with the forests of divine Gaia, who we are all supposed to ignore in favor of the Father. I love Jesus. His Holy Spirit sits with me at the table of all the great sages who I long to know in secret, to not upend the bumper sticker welcoming me into the club of cherub faces I delight in during Sunday worship. Chanting kirtan in the background, Mother Mary making me laugh. O Holy One, Lord of Lords, dancing silent steps of prayers to Ganesha, removing the obstacles of false friends and dysfunctional family members who I laid my life down to the brink of suicide, with orbs and angels keeping me here for some purpose to matter, and flowing sparkles from the heart that says God is a concept, and not the one of my atheist parents, turning mystery into a dirty word, darkened with memories of ruler-whipped nuns and baby-beating priests. The sins of all wipe out the merit of the message and oppress me to do the same for fear of the all-too-real cult that I've witnessed through all denominations, making me more of an outcast than I really am, finding comfort in comrades and media background on YouTube at night, safe renegades speaking a higher truth that a fly on the wall of the Last Supper can buzz in your ear when you listen closely after the painting has fallen off, to lean against the wall of an uncertain understanding, to truly love with body, mind, and soul even those I hate or want so desperately to see what I see, giving folly to my own rejection of the indoctrination saluted to mental chatter. Compete, mine is better than yours. Semantics are never the thing. Tiny words that say the same energy in which left brains will never comprehend. Terrified in surrender at death, erasing Maya as pinholes scratch this dimension. If you sit still long enough after the intoxication wears off and avoidance gets old, as we do, to soften towards a visceral knowing, lapped in behaviors that rise to the level of magic, which female apostle held first-hand pearl of resurrection. She buried carefully in the sea, guarded against male inheritance, unbroken waves, shucking ladies with stories eons ago on the back of this great shell of turtle. All right, the second one is called Sitting Shiva. It's more of a prayer, so I would say maybe put something in your heart that you want to see changed or transformed or lifted up. Mama God, bring us out of the underworld into your light of heaven, promised by the warm hearth of Demeter. The patriarchal past has reached its demise, yet no one moves aside from Durga's mighty force of nature, flooding us out of our old ideas and drying up the water that we use as tears of Mother Isis. Holds us dearly. But her grip is slipping while we wiggle ourselves into poverty, overinflated and pushing down the last ounce of Kuan Yin's service to walk in the shadow of Jesus. Lift the chin to the sun and Ra still remains. There's no extinction in the womb, only crowding with elbows raised to answer the money call that is your last best hope to make it count before you die with Sedna, scarring the power out of your sentimental heart. I cry for you, I weep for me. I try for all, lest trying be my destruction under Pele's Bible, exhausted by fumes ripping apart my neighborhood. Out of source, the devil dances with play on Pachamama's back as the unwelcome host, draining the blood, leaving my belly resourceless with disease to be bought and sold in the waiting room. Newt sky disguises the mystery under smog lamps. I can't comprehend the dust that burst into me, swallowing up the oxygen where none escapes. Mama Goddess awakens now, not fighting and gently tapping before it's too late to bury another loved one riddled with cancerous suffocation to what to do next. I ache for you. I scream for me. I surrender for all, lest surrender be the laziness that lacks the telling. What to do behind the burqa, with wise eyes wishing better. Freya seducing the snake into the spider's web, feeding the nest and fumigating the forest. Merging the edges into smooth spikes of electricity, combustible by sheer will, into another form, retreating into the synthesis of divine you and me. So I'm going to bring my friend Angel up to do a little keyboard for this last poem. So, okay. All right. This one is called Heart. And you can just start and I'll come in. I no longer believe my heart. What does that thing know about life? It only sees emotions. Clouds of dust and smoke, illusions of hurt and fears that disguises itself as truth. I feel so deeply that I am confused by reality, lost in a perception of who I am, defined by others, family, friends, and a society of perfectionists insisting that I generate more and relinquish my own inner truth. They are not going to bring me down, I declare, here and now, as I dig deeper into my unconscious knowing, into the lonely chambers of this broken heart, to find the beauty and joy that is my birthright. It is not you. It is me. I see you. You are me. We are one, teachers on this journey, guiding one another, occasionally pushing each other down through jealousy and fear, not knowing that what we want to attain is the ocean of self-expression which lies within our soul, with a voice waiting to explode pieces of art, poetry, music, love, and all the ways we as humans choose to paint the world, with the colors of ourselves connected to the well in the sky. Jump in and you can fly. Jump in and you can fly to the basin of cosmic creativity, splashing fantasy at your feet, igniting imagination into your brain, awakening your thoughts, tensing your eyes to look at one another as co-creators of this human game, working together to figure out who we are, why we are here, unconditionally accepted, free from the monetary illusion of the emotional cry of our hearts and the negativity that hides in our thoughts. Thoughts are words. Words are power. Power can change a nation. Watch what you think and choose what you say. Be accountable to creation. Thank you. Thank you, Angel. I want to do a little bit of my rant, because I had a really, not a hard time coming up with what poems I wanted to do for today, because it's Women's History Month, and, last month I had a bit of a rant, kind of an angry rant about pay equality, and I I agree with what you're saying. Like, why aren't we more angry? And I think the reason is because we're exhausted. I'm just so tired of fighting and fighting to get people to see that, as women, it's not even just about advancing women into higher positions of power. It's about recognizing the positions we're already in and giving it dignity. Yes, exactly. Yeah, because last month I talked about, I work in education, I work for the region, and our pay is so low, and we sort of look at women, and when I complain about it to my friends, I'm told to just find a different job, or to work harder, and I kind of look at it as as women, we're always told that we have to now undo our biology, undo the stuff that we're naturally good at, which is social services, home companions, teaching, everything that we are naturally good at in the fields that are dominated by women. We're told, well, no, that doesn't deserve the pay. That doesn't deserve the dignity. You have to mold yourself like a man and go into technology or finance or even administration. But what about the people, the boots on the ground that are doing the work, that are holding the hands of the elderly, that are working with the handicapped, that are teaching the kids? For me specifically, it's special education as a paraprofessional, being, paid a wage you can get more as an Amazon driver at McDonald's. But that wasn't what I was going to talk about today. What I wanted to talk about today is what's deeper, what's behind that, because that's what I've been really meditating on. What is the root cause of a lot of this disconnect with women's dignity and honoring what we as women do well, and not trying to change us and form us into what men do well. And I feel like it's a spiritual disconnect. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But I also believe that there's a lot of short sight in church and in our religion. We are made in God's image, but yet we're not allowed to say that God is a woman. Really? Really? If we're made in God's image, and God is all, and God created everything, it's a yin-yang. And, there's a lot of people in this world that honor the Divine Mother, yet we pretend that they don't exist. And why in our Western philosophy it just has to be a male sensibility. And by me saying it, I'm looked at as, I don't know, all sorts of stuff, troublemaker and all that. But I really meditated on this a lot, and I meditate on it so much because I think it's just not, at this point, it's not logical. And how can we ever really have equality over all? And to have that progress is if at the heart of all creation we're not being honored or even accepted, And I'm not saying that anyone has to believe it, but I'm asking to contemplate it and have a conversation about it and just maybe do a what if. What if we walk through this next month as if there's a equally important divine feminine energy in God as a divine masculine energy? How are we going to show up in the world differently? How are we going to treat people differently? How are we going to look at that hierarchy differently? And you could throw it all out the window at the end of the month, but just as an experiment. And I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but, if we can get this out on social media and out into the world and maybe just start to kind of put little drips of thought into people's head of we can change this because religion has changed. It has. We have to be honest about it. 100, 200, 300 years ago, the things that the church was saying about, divorce, about women in the workforce, about slavery, about homosexuality was completely different. So anyone says that we can't change religion is wrong. We change it. We evolve it all the time. So in 100 years, maybe when we do go to church and we are worshiping God, we also are summing in that divine feminine energy so that in our hearts we can feel equal. I'm so tired of everyone talking about Adam, but what about Eve? Eve was there too. Equal. Eve. So I laugh about it, but I think it is a sickness, and I'm wondering. I'm not going to say that I know everything. I'm so willing to be wrong. But I think if we do start to look at how our language around the divine feminine and our words about God, and not saying, Father God is bad, but it's saying both. We need both now at this point. So I wonder what kind of changes that might make in the world. And I'm an artist, first and foremost, so I encourage you all to write about it in a poem and come maybe to some of my workshops. I do some stuff with the Middlebury Southbury Equity and Inclusion Committee, and I'm in talks right now at Southbury Park and Rec, the Senior Center. I do diversity spoken word writing workshops. I also do poetry for a local community access cable in Newtown, and I do theater and improv classes. So, so whatever creative juice or creative bug you have within you, please come to my workshop because you don't want to keep that inside. You want to kind of get that out. And I do feel like through art and through creativity, these conversations become a little bit easier and not so heavy because it can make you angry and really make you despondent. But if we keep creating and doing stuff that is beautiful, truth, beauty, and love is the definition of art. And so if we do it within that capsule, I believe we can change the world. But I'm an artist! So thank you all so much for listening to me again. Mind Rose, spoken word. Find me on YouTube. And subscribe. So thank you, Rick and Jeremy, for having me again. I appreciate it. And yes, women! happy 200th rally. And happy Women's History Month. Enjoy the last week of it. Thank you.